Hey, it's Lauren with Bargain Bead Box, and today we are going to make a simple stretch bracelet using the December Glacial Glimmer collection. Now, this bracelet looks really complicated and sparkly, but it's actually super easy to make. We're going to use 4 items from the box. We're going to be using our 6x4mm crystal faceted rondelles in powder blue. We're going to be using our Stardust spacer beads, the aquamarine faceted round beads, 3mm about, and some of our cornflower blue agate. The only thing I'm using that isn't in the box is a spool of 0.6mm stretch cord. This is wire 451 in the Bead Box Bargain store, but you can use your favorite kind of cord. All right, I'm going to open this up and let's get started. Okay, so I have cut about 36 inches of 0.6mm stretch cord, and I'm going to pre-stretch it a little, just kind of give it a tug all the way down the cord, and this just helps to basically make sure that it doesn't loosen once your project is finished. Kind of gets rid of any extra stretch that sometimes shows up even after you've pulled it all nice and tight. Okay, now if you have a wrist that is longer than like 7.5 inches, I would recommend, instead of using stretch cord, use monofilament, and you'll still and a clasp to add extra length. And you'll still follow along exactly the same, except that here at the start, where we put our 6mm agate round, you're going to put your clasp half. And if you can use the clasp that comes with the box if you want to add a lot of length. You can use a magnetic clasp, like a little clasp, if you just want it a little bit longer. But just a heads up, this will use up all of the aquamarine rounds that came with the box pretty much, and they're going to be kind of your limiting factor for length. So if this design is not long enough for you, then just add a clasp, it'll make it longer. And I'll call out how to finish it if you've added the clasp as well. I would probably use monofilament instead of stretch cord, or your favorite beading thread instead of stretch cord if you're adding a clasp. I just like the stretch cord because that way it's easy to put on and off. But again, just wanted to bring that up because I would hate for you to get to the end of this tutorial and be like, this bracelet doesn't fit me. All right, so I'm going to start by making sure I have a agate bead that I can get my stretch cord through twice, because that's going to be really important to finish this bracelet up. Okay, that works. I just want to make sure the hole is big enough, because I have made one of these bracelets before, not this exact pattern, but a similar one, and I've gotten to the end and realized I couldn't get my cord through my starting bead, and it was very sad. So we're not going to do that today. Today we're going to check it first. Okay, so this is a very simple pattern. I'm just going to do on each open end. This is in the middle, so I've got my 2 ends here, and it doesn't really matter left or right. I've got my 2 ends here. I'm just going to string the same thing on each side. I'm going to do an aquamarine bead, and then I'm going to do a crystal rondelle and another aquamarine bead. So let me just find that one's very clear and I can't find the hole. It is really different beading from 18, like sitting up and not, holding it right up to my eyes here. Okay, so I have my aquamarine bead and a crystal and another little faceted sparkly aquamarine on this side. There we are. Maybe. All right, y'all. This is where I consider getting glasses. There we go. Oh, one day I'll probably need them. But yes, beading here instead of being able to hold it up super close to my eyes, it is sometimes a challenge for me. So I'm going to do my best, and we're going to have fun. I'm just going to repeat that same pattern over here. Crystal rondelle, aquamarine, crystal, aquamarine, really. And now we're going to basically form the end of our bracelet, which we will connect to later, now that we've made sure that hole is big enough to connect to. We're going to take one of these silver spacers, and it really doesn't matter which side you thread it onto, but whichever side you do thread it onto, you're going to take the opposite end and go back through the same bead the other direction. So, and sometimes with stretch cord, it helps me to line it up and then just sort of push it. There we go. And now, so we've got it through both sides. Now we're just going to pull it, take both ends, and hold them up. I like to hold them so that they stay even, and I'm just going to pull this tight. And this is a very similar technique to the bracelet that I made in June. It's just we're varying the bead sizes to make it a little bit different. And we'll also go over how to add a clasp if you want to with this technique as well. All right, so now we've got a little loop. And we're going to kind of do the same thing. On each side here, we're going to do an aquamarine round. And then another crystal bead. If I can ever get this, find that hole, goodness. There we go. I love the little sparkly gemstones. They're so pretty. But sometimes my wrists do struggle with them a little. But I think this bracelet is worth it. It comes out so gorgeous and sparkly. It makes me very happy. Okay, so we're just going to do that on both sides. And then we're going to do an agate bead in the middle. So we're just sort of going to continue alternating to create a pattern. And another thing you could do if you wanted to lengthen the bracelet is you could mix up using some of the bicones on either side instead of the aquamarine. I don't know, I really like the aquamarine in this, so that's how I've chosen to proceed. But this is such a simple pattern, you can do it so many ways. All right, now we're going to take this agate 6mm round and we're going to string through it both directions. And we're just going to pull that tight. And it's wrapped around itself here in a second. There we go. Okay, and we're just sort of making this little ladder pattern. We're going to repeat it again, this time with the silver in the middle. And we're just going to keep alternating that. It's, like I said, it is a really, really simple and easy pattern. But I love the result. It is so sparkly and fancy. It makes me think of a winter ball. What am I doing? Not that one yet. Almost forgot my aquamarine there. Sometimes my brain catches itself, and other times it doesn't. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and just put the silver bead on that side, and I'll string back through it after I finish on this side. So we are due for some pretty frozen weather, which makes me excited. I don't know about y'all, but a snow day is really nice once in a while. And it's very cozy being inside and beading when it is snowing outdoors. So I hope that if you have a snow day today, that you have a cozy one. And yeah, that it is fun. I just have to venture outdoors this morning, take care of the goats. Goodness, I make them tea. Well, not really. I boil water in my tea kettle every morning to go dump in their water bucket so it defrosts, but we refer to that as goat tea in my house. And they get very excited because they know they get treats too. And of course we take them all their hay and everything. But they are huge babies about the snow. They hate it. They will not step on it. They do not like it. Lynn's a much bigger fan of the snow than my goats are. They would really be fine if we just didn't have any snow days at all. Okay, so now, see, we're just alternating with the same pattern on either side, going through a 6mm agate, and then the spacer bead, the stardust bead there. So it is, like I said, it's a very simple pattern. It's honestly a variation of the pattern that I used with June's, oh goodness, what were they? The lava stone beads, that's what they were. That was a really fun bracelet. And I just want to show you what it looks like when you kind of mix up the bead sizes on that kind of bracelet, because you can do a lot of fun things, and there's so many different ways you can make this style of bracelet. It is always one of my best sellers when I do shows, just this style, because it can expand and contract a little bit. It can fit several different wrist sizes, and it's just so lacy and fun. It's like light bead weaving. It's so slightly woven, but it's very easy. It doesn't take forever, which is good because my my attention span is not always incredible. I will be honest with you, but I really enjoy how this one turns out. It's just so pretty. So yeah, honestly, at this point, if you want to, you can just fast forward to the end and we'll close it up. But it's going to be a lot of the same, repeating this pattern. But if you want to hang out and bead with me too, you are more than welcome to. I'm just going to be here working with these 3mm rounds. I love aquamarine. I like the delicate icy blues. Again, I think it's going to be really appropriate for this weekend. Here in Tennessee, we do not get snow very often, so it's kind of a big deal when we do. Definitely for Lynn, she's super excited. Having a snow day from school, getting to run around and play, it's going to be a fun day with some hot chocolate at the end. Here we go. I also always feel bad because, the first couple of years I was really good about getting her snow gear. Again, it snows literally like once a year here, and if that. And sometimes that snow is like, here's a tiny little dusting. And sometimes it's like, here's a 2-week-long ice storm. Enjoy. You never really know. But I never remember to order her snow gear anymore, it seems, until, then I'm like, oh, it's going to snow. And at that point, there's none locally. They don't sell much here anyway because, again, there's just not that much of a market for it. But then also there's not time to get it here in time for snow. So we're going to be layering up, and we're going to have a good time. Lots and lots of layers. She has like a big old coat, and I did remember to get her snowproof gloves. It's just, we're going to be doing the whole, okay, here's tights and leggings and jeans and a t-shirt and a sweater and then your big old coat. And it's fine. We'll stay out until we get too cold. I probably will wear out before she does anyway. It's just the way it goes. All right. So now I've been choosing the lighter agate rounds here because I think they look really nice. There's less contrast. I guess I used kind of a dark one at the start, but I am using kind of a lighter 6mm here. And that's just a personal choice. It'll still look absolutely stunning no matter which one of them you use. If you want higher contrast, you could go for the a really dark cornflower ones also. Okay, I'm sure this one has a hole someplace. There it is. That is one nice thing about buying stranded beads, or beads that come on strands, not like beads that are marooned on a desert island. They're going to have a hole in them. It's kind of a flex. That's why sometimes the strands of beads are more expensive. It's like, look, they are all drilled, and you can tell. But I'm gonna have to get myself a few more crystal beads here. There's still plenty left on my strand. I just didn't pour them all off as I catapult the crystal into the spacers. And we're getting there. This bracelet, like I said, it takes a little while, but it's not awful. And it doesn't take as long if you are actually sitting with your face reasonably close to the mat and not trying to keep your head out of the shot so people can see what you're doing. But I really do enjoy it. It's relaxing. It's easy to make. I usually like to put on a movie or a home improvement show, like something I don't have to pay close attention to when I'm beading. Especially if I have a show coming up and I'm trying to make as much as I can. I've seen so many episodes of like Property Brothers, that kind of thing. It's the sort of thing that I really don't watch on its own because honestly, it just doesn't hold my interest enough. But if I'm doing something else at the same time, it's perfect. Well, that's what I like to do. I like to bead and daydream about changes I will never make to my house. But, you know, sometimes we come up with actual home improvement ideas too. Okay. And either way, you get a fun bracelet out of it. If you're using monofilament, definitely bear in mind how long your clasp is, how long you want your bracelet to be. I'm going to just kind of go until I don't have enough aquamarine left to do, to complete the pattern. And I'm going to close it off at that point. But if the measurement matters more to you and you need to add length to a bracelet, one of my favorite ways is to either make a beaded link, or you could absolutely attach one of the links from the box. There's a lot you can do to make beadwork long enough if you run out. So I'll show you a couple tips here at the end. But yeah, stretch cord is just so easy to use for me, and also it's kind of like a built-in fidget toy. So I like it for that reason. It's one of the reasons I like to make stretch bracelets. And this bracelet in particular is it's fun. It's fun to fidget with. And it's very, very sparkly. I love the finish, on the shimmer finish on these crystal rondelles is stunning. It looks so good with the sparkle from the aquamarine too. Just gorgeous. All right. Find my other end here. Yeah, and sometimes to help get the bead on the cord, I give it a running start, like over both cords. I kind of pull it back and then push it over the two parts of the cord simultaneously. It just helps it get through both holes without much trouble. All right. And you can use a 0.5 millimeter stretch cord for this too if you want. There's nothing particularly big or heavy. I just had 0.6 on hand, so that's what I'm using. And it's fitting fine. I haven't had any trouble getting the aquamarine beads on it. I always like to, when I use stretch cord, I like to use the thickest cord possible that my beads will fit onto. And the reason for that is so that it's a little stronger, and so that it doesn't, you have less, I don't know what to call it, overstretch, less, like if you, pre-stretching helps, but if you use really heavy beads with a thinner stretch cord, sometimes you can still get a little of that extra give to it. Sometimes they just pull it loose, and it just loosens up more. So to keep the bracelets tight, I like to use the thickest cord that will work. And of course, for this bracelet, it has to be the thickest cord that will fit through my beads twice because of the pattern. And you're always going to run them through opposite directions. This one's giving me a little trouble here. But yeah, it's usually not having much trouble getting this 0.6 millimeter through this hole twice either. And yeah, we are really getting there. Making progress. One of my favorite parts of curating the box is always working with my lapidary partners to see what kind of gemstones I can find on sale. And finding blue lace agate was definitely one of the foundational pieces this month. But I was super excited to find these aquamarine as well because they are so icy and pretty. And so then from there, I'm like, all right, I need some colors that will look good with the blue lace agate and the aquamarine. And I want it to have some brighter tones, have some icy tones. But I'm really, really drawn to these like icy blues. The cornflowers are gorgeous also. And I love the blue lace agate itself, but I really, really love those shimmery crystals together. Nope, it's not time for an agate. I almost didn't look at that. It is time for a spacer bead. I'm really happy with how these colors go together. And I love all the purple tones too, and I will make some purpley things also. As I've been playing with it, I find myself so drawn to those ice blues. They are just really, really lovely. And I usually try to have more tutorials out faster. The holiday season's been, it's been a lot. It's been good. Got to see some of my family from out of town and hang out. I hope you've had a good holiday season too. It's just now we're at this time, this almost feels like the deep breath afterwards. Like, okay, maybe we'll get snowed in this weekend. We'll get to have some rest. We'll get to kind of recuperate from holiday busyness. I'm definitely a homebody, so that's fun for me. I am not an exciting, extroverted person. I would probably stay at home most days if I was left to my own devices. But I like getting out sometimes too. And sometimes getting out is just go and pour hot water in the goat's water bucket, because some days are like that. But if you told me 10 years ago that I would be making my goats tea in the morning, I would have laughed at you quite a lot. I thought I was going to be a city person at one point in my life. That was not correct. But I love the country. And I like my goats. They're sweet. It's just funny the way things work out sometimes. Sometimes the things we don't expect become some of our favorite things. And I love that. All right, so we are getting down to the wire with these faceted aquamarine now. We are about to run out. So this is going to be my last full pattern repetition. And I'm going to go ahead and do a silver ball on this one, and I'm not going to close the next one. I'm going to attach to the end here. Sorry, I'm not being very coherent. Trying to get this thing through the hole. There it goes. Boom. Okay, so last silver bead. And now we're just going to finish the pattern that includes our starter bead over here. Okay, so I am going to show you how I would add a clasp half here. Remember, if we're using monofilament, I'm assuming instead of this 6mm round, you went ahead and put the first half of that clasp on that cord. And then to finish it then, I would just run it through here. And at this point, you can go ahead and tie yourself a little square knot there, glue it off, and you'll be done. And you won't have this bead. You'll have the other clasp half attached there, and that'll give you a little bit more length if you need it. And if you still need more length, you can always put on a link or something. Another idea that I sometimes do when I'm working with like thread or monofilament in a clasp, and I'm not sure if I'm going to have enough beads to completely finish the length, I will go ahead and use a tube bail, like just a little bead with a loop on it. So that way I just have a loop here, and then I would finish it off with a loop here too. And that way I can attach links, I can attach chain, I can attach a larger clasp. It gives me some options to play with. So if you ever get through some beadwork and you're like, oh no, this isn't long enough, those are some ideas of some ways you can lengthen it. I've had a couple people ask me that for recommendations there, so that's what I would do. But in this case, I'm using stretch cord because I know this will fit my wrist. And actually it has some give to it also. And I like a stretch bracelet. I just do. Okay, so to close your stretch bracelet, you're going to take one of your strands, and it doesn't much matter which one you use. I'm going to use the top one here. Because it just matters that you go back through the starting bead the direction you normally would with that strand. So because this is the top strand, I would normally go through the top to bottom here. If I come through bottom to top, it's not going to look right. And I'll show you real quick so you'll know. If you're like, what is this doing? If I come from the wrong direction, then it looks all weird and you get like a twist in it. See that? And that twist does not go away. So to keep it from twisting, just make sure you run it through the direction that you normally would with that strand. So I'm going top to bottom here. And there we go. Now, instead of just going ahead and tying my knot here, even though I absolutely could, let me move these and show you. I absolutely could tie my knot right here and it would be totally fine. My bracelet would be done. But I just feel like that knot shows up more when it's in the middle against that center bead because your eye's kind of naturally drawn to the middle. So instead, what I'm going to do is take one of the aquamarine beads off of this strand, string it on this strand, and hope that that will make a difference. And that having the knot kind of in the middle of the outer bit there won't be quite as noticeable. All right, so I'm going to take my left strand and go over and around the right. And then I'm going to take my right strand and go over and around the left to make a square knot. And I'm going to pull that as tight as I possibly can. Just give it a really good pull. Okay, so there's my square knot. And I'm hoping, that it will kind of disappear into the hole on this crystal after I cut the cord. We'll see if that actually happens. All right, and I'm going to do, again, the left strand goes over and around the right here, like this. Left strand over and around the right. Right strand, then over and around the left. Pull that tight again. I made a double square knot, just to be sure. And I usually like to put a little drop of glue or clear nail polish on that knot there, just to help it really have something to hold on to and keep it from slipping. But I will do that in a moment. Otherwise, we're going to trim the ends, see if I can manipulate that under the middle bead there. And yeah. At this point, your bracelet is finished. So I love this pattern. It's lacy. It's very, very wintry. It's fun. And you can mix it up if you want. You could put different beads in the middle. You could alternate using bicones on the end instead of the aquamarine. There's a lot of things you can do with it. It's very simple, but I think it's very elegant. And look how sparkly that is. I like it. Anyway, so all right, well, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you have a wonderful, relaxing day. If it's a snow day, I hope it's cozy for you. I hope that you have a great rest of your weekend, too. And if you are a Bargain Bead Box member, you'll have gotten all the beads to make this project in your December box. We'll have some January projects coming up for you very soon. If you're not a member, you can find these beads available while supplies last on our sister store, beadboxbargains.com, under the Box Extras category. Alrighty, well, thank you all so much. Hope you have a wonderful day, and as always, happy beading.